Okay. That's very. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So since I guess everybody knows us in here and kind of just wanted to give like a little backstory, I've been in it 19 years. Started off as a secretary at the real estate firm, turned into a secretary, transaction coordinator, next job growth. And then got my license and ended up being a buyer agent for a long time and then turned into full brokerage. So I've been around, I've been through the recession, I've been through all the different, I feel like all the different markets that they have to offer. So that's kind of my backstory. I'm married to a retired Army vet. And yeah, that's about it.
Well, I'm Shonda. I actually taught for 10 years, so my passion and my gift is education. I was board teaching. I taught ELA. We had to teach what curriculum was given to us. Not sure if y'all know about Common Core, but it sucked. But I wanted to teach, but I wanted to teach something that I don't matter. And so now I'm in a position to teach something that I wish that they would teach us in school. I'm sure all of us have said, like, they teach us stuff that we don't need. So it feels good to teach something that's actually helping people in life. So I taught for 10 years. I've been in real estate 5 years. I came in 2020 before everything went crazy. So I experienced that super competitive sellers market my first year, and it did teach me a lot. And that's what I love about real estate is you're always going to learn. There's not one transaction that you're not going to learn something. Every single transaction presents a learning opportunity. So yeah, we were just talking one day. This lesson just kind of came out of a conversation that we were having, and it just flowed so well. So we were like, we should do a class on this. And it basically is kind of like when I was in school as a teacher, and so you may have your own version of this. You get out of school, you've done, your education, and then you get thrown out there, and it's like,
Sink or swim.
So it's like even though you spent 4 years learning, if you got a degree or whatever, it's still like you have to learn more. You have to learn like how to actually be in the field. So the title of today's lesson is I got my license. That
Pretty much everything we wish we knew when we first started.
Yes.
Stuff that, I got thrown in the deep end and it was sink or swim. And I learned as I rolled. And I felt like when I got my license and I'm like, I know every amount here, do everything. And then I had to write a contract 3 hours later. Like I had no idea how to look for things. I had no idea how to write it. I had no idea how to explain it. So what we would like to do is have a really interactive class. So if there's something that you've been struggling with or you're like, how do you do that? Like, how do you just have that? Like, please speak up and let us know if you have any questions at all, something you've been struggling with, a scenario, anything. Please speak up and just let us know. This is that class. Like, everything that you wish you knew right now. Mistakes that I made then, wish I started doing this type of thing. So, if you have any questions, please pipe in.
So we have our outline, but like she said, I believe we all learn from each other, and that's what's important about having real estate classes. Because, like I said, it's always an opportunity to learn something new. So we'll start off with education. The biggest thing with education is we should always stay learning. I can say from experience that I have worked with agents that have been in the game for a long time, and some things have changed probably since they started, and I don't know if they're not staying updated, but I just feel like we should always stay learning, never get to the point where I have this amount of success. I've learned everything I need to learn, because real estate is always changing, so there's always a need to be learning.
Like I said, 19 years in, I still learn. So I love to listen to people go back and forth, like role playing, or like how would you handle this objection or something, because there's someone saying something that I've never said before. I'm like, yeah, I like that, and write it down. The moment you become complacent in this industry, that's where you're going to stay. So I constantly, do I make it to every single training? No, but do I still come? Do I still listen? Do I still talk to people all the time and change the way I do things? All the time. So I feel like if you're constantly ears open, surround yourself with people that are doing things that you want to be doing, instead of the negative, oh, the market sucks, blah, blah, blah. Veer away from them and get to the people like, this is what I'm going to change with time. I feel like misery loves company and you're sitting in it, that's where you're going to stay. So if you're going to find somebody that like, I want to be doing what you're doing, ask them questions. You know what I mean? Listen to what they say, listen to their conversations. Even sitting in the office and listening to people on the phone, I'm still like, hey, that's a great way to say that. Like, I'm going to say that from now on. This far into the game, I'm still changing the stuff that I say. Just like our forms change every year, like I feel like we should be moving with time and definitely be changing the way we do things. I just like went through all of that.
Right. Pretty much. And then, perfect example, because Shelly is my mentor, and so there's a lot of times I call her and I'm like, what can I do for this? Or I think I jacked up, and she always gives me tons and tons of wisdom, but she always has like these sayings that make me feel so much better, make me feel like I can start again, or I can, rebuild from my mistakes, which you had said something interesting yesterday when I said that it was my mistake. And I remember, but it was so good. But just learning also from where you may mess up, being accountable. And as Shelby and April say all the time, have your 5-second B-roll, but you need to take it as a learning lesson and move on. Don't stay like in that defeated mentality.
That's what I said. There are no mistakes. There's just lessons learned. And it sounds so corny, but it's true. Like if you sit there and be like, oh my God, I made this mistake, and then if you wallow in it, how about just say, okay, I'm never going to do that again. I learned this lesson. I'm going to move forward now on that. So sitting in your mistake is not going to help you at all. So just say, everyone makes mistakes. Everyone does stuff wrong. Everyone is up at night at 2 in the morning, be like, oh my gosh, did I send that paperwork? Did I do that right? We all feel that. Even freaking 20 years in, I still feel that way. And I sometimes I'm like, did I send that email? Did I do that? Did I order that warranty? You know what I mean? So it helps to like, instead of being like, I made a mistake, that's really bad, like that type of thing, be like, okay, I'm never going to do that again. Lesson learned. Moving forward, this is how I'm going to handle it. This is how I'm going to change. Have your for it and move on. Like I know you experienced this recently, and I actually experienced it with another agent last night about being fired. It's happened to me twice in my years. It does not feel good. But at the end of the day, don't focus on the one firing. Focus on the 100 other people that work with you and love you, right? So don't get yourself down in this one. Sometimes we're not meant to work with some people. My personality is not for everyone, and I totally understand that. So it might feel king at first. You're like, I don't like that, and it hurts your feelings. But at the end of the day, there's a reason why you weren't supposed to work with that person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So if you focus on that instead of like, that hurt my feelings, why don't they like me, type of thing, and you're just like, you know what? I wasn't meant for that person, because I don't get along with everybody and I don't mesh well with certain personalities, and that's okay. So sometimes it's a blessing in disguise that they fire you, because when you're chasing the money and you're chasing the contracts and stuff like that, it hurts. You're like, damn, that's $6,000 that just walked out the door. Yeah. But also that could have been your peace. You're stressed out for 2 months straight, all of that, and it wasn't worth it. So if you think about like changing your mindset that way, it makes it a lot easier to deal with the rejection that you absolutely will feel in this business. Like it's gonna happen.
It's like I had one about 2 weeks ago that I've been working with this investor out of the blue. He's like, hey, find me a house, blah, blah, blah. I found a house, I actually knew a guy that had a house, and he liked it, you know what I mean? And so we go through the whole process. 3 days before closing day, he calls me up, like, I'm back now.
Awesome.
You know, and I'm just like, oh my God, you know, so I know what you mean about your funeral for 5 seconds, but it pissed me off.
It was.
But I was like, yeah, I've been over back, and it was even in Rocky Mountains, I mean, I live in Clayton. So it's like, I drove there, he wanted all these specific pictures, I did all that stuff, and then he's like, oh, sorry, I'm back now, the numbers don't work for me. I'm like, wait, 3 weeks ago, you said the numbers worked.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I get what you mean about that, 'cause I kept kind of like counting, you know, for 2 or 3 days, and finally, when he was like, you just gotta let it go.
You do.
You just gotta let it go and just, you know, forget it. And
You gotta, I focus on the next person, because I usually feel like the next person is gonna be the easiest sale I've ever had.
Yeah,
So there's a reason why this one fell through, this one's gonna be so easy, I'm gonna show one house, they're gonna love it, and then that's gonna be that. But yeah, you get in that mindset, and I remember being, a first, you know, a year agent in, and you're chasing deals, right? You're only selling maybe 10 a year or 5 a year, who knows what you're gonna do. So each deal is a huge deal. So when one falls through, it eats at you, and it does. But then that, to me, I changed my mindset to be like, okay, not meant for me. Next one's gonna be great. Just keep plugging and keep doing what you're doing. So if you stay in that mindset and just kind of let it go, I know it sucks. It's not a good time for anyone. I recently got fired. I don't even like that word. It was a couple of months ago. But I put in so much time, and I have driven all over the place with these people.
Yes.
I wanted to fire them myself and just be like, I'm not meant for this person, but I put so much time in it, I physically couldn't do it because I'm like the money, like I want to be paid back for my time. So when they did it, I wrote back, best of luck to you. You know, I wish you the best. And I like giggled to myself, which normally that would have killed me for, you know, a week. But like I laughed and I was like, not meant for me. I knew it from the beginning. It wasn't meant for me, but I pushed on, you know, because that's what I do as an agent. I push on, but it wasn't meant for me. And I'm happier now that I don't have to deal with it. Even though I couldn't pull the trigger when they did, I felt more like a blessing than like, I just lost out on this amount of money. So if you don't focus on that and focus on like peace and anxiety and like all of that type of thing, like what is going to protect that for me, them going was that exact thing. So if I didn't focus on the money and what I lost, you know, then it makes it easier to like have the funeral and get over it. You know, it sucks, but it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. You know what I mean? So the quicker you can be fixed in about it, the quicker you can move on from it, the easier this business will be for you. It's not meant for everyone. You just don't rub everyone. You know, did everyone that you meet thus far in your life loved you?
All right.
You know what I mean? So why assume that every client that comes across your desk is you're gonna be like besties, you know, and be perfect with? Sometimes it just doesn't work out.
Yeah.
So that's something I wish I knew a lot. But it helps a lot, but
Okay, so yeah.
keep learning. Just
Yeah,
keep
always
learning.
stay learning. Of course, we have our coach license in and our continuing education once we get our license, but also coming to like middle school every week where we're gonna find relevant topics to talk about and we have each other. I learned so much from Shelby. I learned so much from April. I learned so much from other realtors and of course
One thing I say to myself, if I only got one golden nugget out of an entire hour-long class, it was worth my time to go. You know what I mean? I might not need to know everything that's being said in there, but if I got one thing out of that, I'm gonna utilize in my business, time well spent. Cool. Like that's perfect. Like you're not gonna be blown away every single time any class you go to, you know what I mean? But sometimes that one golden nugget that you get is worth it.
it makes me think about, I go to church, and it makes me think about like pastors, they may teach the same sermon like multiple times, but it's always something that you can take from it. But something else that a pastor said is if you're going to church and you're not like feeling like you're being fed, maybe it's time for you to help feed others. And so, you know, sometimes coming to a class like this where you're like, okay, I know this, like maybe it's time for you to offer something that you've learned. You know, maybe it's time for you to start pouring into other agents.
Agreed.
Okay, so next we're just going to talk about setting personal goals. And this question helped liberate me from comparison. It helped liberate me for just so much anxiety. What does success look like to me? Because if you're looking at other agents and you see them doing this, this, and this, they have a different story. They have a different path, and I had to stop. Maybe it was last year when I finally asked myself that. I had to stop and say, what does it look like to me? So you talk
Yeah,
about that person
so
goals.
I like set realistic goals. Everybody wants to sell 100 houses a year, right? Like that's 50 houses, 100 houses, whatever. But is it realistic for you and your lifestyle? So I was telling LaShonda last night, I got a smack in the face last summer, that I only have 3 summers left with my oldest daughter. And like that to me, I was like, what? So my mindset changed a little bit about focusing on never missing an event with her, never missing a track meet, never doing anything. So my personal goal shifted a little bit. I wanted to be focused on that. And I had to stop comparing myself to other agents that I'd always sold the same amount of houses with, and they were going to sell more than me that year. And to me, that's like, my competitive side is like, no, like I'm supposed to be up there, but I don't know their backstory. I don't know if they didn't spend enough time with their kids that year, or their husband, or they're going through something, what sacrifices they made. I knew that what was important to me was this, and spending time with my children. So I had to stop comparing myself to somebody else and what they were selling, because this was the most important to me, and that wasn't. So the moment you stop on social media, being like, oh, they sold 5 more houses this month, what's wrong with me, type of thing, that's not your goal. This is what you're going to be doing. This is what you're supposed to be doing. And break down your goals into weekly or daily tasks. Because January, when I sit down and I'm like, I'm selling 50 houses this year, that seems like a tall order. You know what I mean? And you're like, oh my God, how are you going to do that? That's how many a month type of thing. But if I break it down into months and how many I need to sell, which turns into leads, this is how many leads I need to be talking to in a week, and break it down in a day, it doesn't seem as unattainable to me. As long as I set that up for myself, I would always just set goals that are realistic for your lifestyle, what's important to you, and where you want to see your business going. Because not everybody is the same. People are selling 300 houses on their team, but at what cost? So if that's the most important thing for you, cool. Proud of you. But that to me is not the lifestyle that I want to live. This is more important to me than selling 300 houses a year or having what So setting stuff, understanding what's important, understanding your big why. Why are you doing this? Because that's important too. But just know that if you don't sell as much as somebody else, maybe that you're comparing yourself to, you have this success, this other side of success. And I think that's a really hard thing for a realtor to stop working at 10 o'clock at night. I'm in bed last night emailing. At what job do you do that?
Yes.
What job do you do that? At what point can you turn off? I told my husband, I want to plug in my phone because it died in the bedroom, and then go watch TV and not have anxiety that I'm missing 10 calls. I can never do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so when people come into this career, and I can't wait for the flexible schedule, I get to do it. I'm like, okay, cute. That's cute. Because 7 a.m. to 10 p.m., I am on my phone. I'm doing something on my phone, unless I physically am like, I'm taking this hour and I'm not looking at that. There's boundaries that have to be put in place, so you'll burn out real fast.
It's funny because that same thing happened last night too. A buddy of mine I've known for 30 years, and we talk a bunch of smack back and forth to each other and all that. He called me last night, and I'm about half asleep on the couch.
Yeah.
And I picked up the phone, and he's like, what, you sound like you're about half asleep?
I am.
Yeah, I am. I said, it's about 9 o'clock. And he goes, no, you're a real estate agent. You work 24/7. Well, it turned out he wants to go look at a house. And I'm just like, crap, okay. But I told him, we were just joking back and forth, that what you just said, 24/7, that's what the average people think that you do, that you do got to cut it off.
Yeah, you have to. You have to set boundaries for yourself and with your clients. You wouldn't expect to call a bank at 9 o'clock at night for an answer, or a lender, no offense. You're not calling a lender at 9 o'clock at night and you get an answer. Why do you expect me? You made for her. I'm like, state employees, maybe federal, all of the,
But-
USAA, they're not answering you at 9 o'clock at night. Why do you expect me to do the same? Like, and nothing I don't feel is gonna happen past 9, 10 o'clock at night that I can't address at 7 in the morning.
Right.
There's a fire that really needs to be put out at that point in there. So again, mindset, because it's hard to not, I remember being a year in the business, you're like, I ain't missing nothing. And you're on there and doing that, but that to me causes burnout really quick. 'Cause there's no off button. There's no time for yourself where you're just doing something you love to do with your family or your, husband or whatever. And so I feel like that is an absolutely realistic boundary you can put and set expectations with your buyers right away. I'm going to be as available to you as I possibly can, but just know, I'm a mom of 4. I have a husband, you know what I mean? Sometimes I'm not available, but I strive to get back with you within an hour or 2 within reason. Not at 1 o'clock in the morning, but if that's when you feel so inclined to email me, cool, I'll get you at 7 a.m. You'll be the first one I see, and that's fine. So setting realistic expectations in buyer presentations and listing presentations is really, really important. Because if they know that up front, they can't hold it against you later when you didn't answer my call at 11. Yeah, I was sleeping, Yeah, absolutely. I'm entitled to go to sleep at night. You know what I mean? So people will run you ragged in this business if you allow it. But if you don't allow it, you set the expectations, no one can be disappointed in what you're doing.
And it's almost like too, when you set that expectation for us, anyway, we have within 24 hours,
Right.
to get your pre-approval. But now we set that expectation and now we over exceed, maybe we get back to them sooner than that. They're like blown away, like, thank you so much.
Yes.
They're so appreciative that
Got it.
answered that call when you normally wouldn't and that kind of thing.
Absolutely.
That's super helpful. But that was something that even as a lender that I struggled with in my first couple of years of doing it. I would go roadside road,
Yeah.
be running estimates, like how to hotspot on my phone. It was crazy.
And the drive is respectable. The ambition is respectable, right? But you're gonna burn yourself out and you just spin your wheels and grab, you know what I mean? Like spinning your wheels in mud. Like you need to allow yourself and have the, give yourself grace. I preach that all the time to a lot of people on the team that have been in it and they're burnt out and they call me and they're like, I feel so terrible. Like it's Wednesday and I've done nothing all day. And I said, okay, well, did you work Saturday and Sunday and Monday and Tuesday and a previous Friday and Thursday? So what? If you want to sit on a Wednesday and do nothing, as long as no fires are going on and you don't have anything pressing that needs to be handled, okay. People do that on Saturdays and Sundays with 9 to 5 punch and punch out all the time. They sit on the couch and do nothing and no one gives them crap for it. Why can't you? Give yourself some grace and allow yourself that reset, to be better for your clients later. So.
When you're burned out too, you can make mistakes.
Period. Absolutely.
And that's how,
Absolutely.
and it's heartbreaking when you realize.
Absolutely. But be the first person, I know we're swirling a little bit, but when you do mess up, be the first person to say, I messed up. This is, I'm so sorry, how do I fix this?
Yeah.
Go to April, go to Wendy, go to somebody on the team that's like, oh my gosh, I messed this up, what do I do? I feel like when you talk to clients, you're like, I screwed up, I messed this up, I'm so sorry, I'm fixing it. Instead of being like, well, this person didn't do what they were supposed to do, and you pass them up, especially when working with other agents. I have so much more respect for you if you call and be like, Shelby, I messed up.
Yeah.
We need to fix this. Okay, girl, how do we do this? But you come at me and go, well, you didn't do this instantly. I'm like, okay. So that's the game we're gonna play. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to do that with you. So I will respect you 100 times and find a solution if you call me and be like, I dropped the ball. Okay, cool. How do we fix it? Instead of trying to pass the buck, I find that so as another agent to agent, if we were working on a deal together and you called me and said that to me, or if you called a new construction, I have an agent in Cypress Point, I had one last year. She called me and she was like, Shelby, I've done 3 deals, none of them are new construction, I'm brand new. Can you please hold my hand through this entire thing? Bet money, girl, absolutely, I'm gonna hold your hand, this is what you do. And I will hold your hand through the entire thing. Because it's easier to train somebody, this is how you do it, since I've been doing it for so long. So for the next time, you're in better shape than when you came to me the first time. That would be my goal. But if you come and constantly making mistakes and acting really, really defensive when I put hey, this is, I don't know you do this, but this is how you do it, you become defensive. that's off-putting to me. I will hold your hand through the whole thing, absolutely all day long. As long as you're upfront about it, just be like, I don't know what I'm doing, please help me. Okay, then, no problem. You know what I mean? Like, that's me personally, like, if someone came to me and said that, I would 100% hold your hand. Set personal goals, set realistic goals, and do not compare yourself to others.
Yes.
If I learned that 19 years ago, I would save myself a lot of heartache. Just don't compare yourself to what everyone else is doing. If you love what they're doing and you want to be that way, associate yourself with them. Call them, ask them to coffee, ask them to lunch. Hey, I love what you're doing. Would you sit down with me for an hour and just explain what you're doing? You know what I mean? Like, put yourself in a position to where you can be that, and just of being like, oh, there's so much and I'm not doing anything. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I would say 80% of realtors, maybe 90 if I'm being stretching it, would be willing to sit down with you. Absolutely, all day. You know, let's have a good lunch. I gotta eat. Take my brain. Do what you gotta do.
I remember when I started, I asked lenders, I sit down with lenders, I sit down with realtors, I even tried to reach out to home inspectors. I was trying to learn everything I could, and I never got to know. Everyone was always so willing to sit down and talk to me, and I always had tons of questions, and they were, they helped me to feel more comfortable, getting to start in real estate.
If you feel ignorant in a certain aspect of this career, i.e. lending, home inspections, new construction terms, anything like that, call Lexi.
Yeah.
Have her sit down with you for 20 minutes and go over that stuff. Because then perfect example. When I was in real estate the first time, I was terrified for someone to ask me a question I didn't know the answer to.
Yes.
Like, I was like, awkward, don't know what to do with my hands. Like, oh my God, I don't know the answer to it. You know what I mean? Like, I was terrified to talk to people, like a Zillow lead on the phone, because I was afraid they were going to ask a question I didn't know the answer to. So when I was doing nothing in my first year, you know what I mean? And I was just going to the office, acting like I was doing stuff, I would talk to them. I would talk to the lender at the time that I was using. I'm like, explain everything that is involved with BA. Like, dumb it down and give me bullet points.
Yes.
So I know exactly, like, if they ask me about, is this required? I don't know. Like, that terrified me.
Yeah.
So I would want to know all of the answers. So sitting down with the home inspector, if I saw something like this, how would you explain it to like, how would I explain it to my buyer? You know what I mean? Or a VA loan or an FHA or conventional or USDA, any of those things. Like, having more knowledge about it made me more comfortable with answering the phone and talking to people, because not knowing the answer terrified me. For sure. Like, I didn't want to look stupid, So.
And you can't say to the client or the customer, too many times, like, well, let me check on
Let me check on it. Yeah. Which is always a great answer than saying the wrong one, to be honest. But yeah, I would definitely keep saying that if you don't know the answer, instead of guessing and it being wrong and be like, I told you wrong, sorry, type of thing. But yes, just that's why I say, like, if there's something that you're uncomfortable with, one aspect of this market, go to a professional in that market and ask them the questions. I guarantee that they're gonna sit down with you for a second.
And if you're really excited for having that knowledge.
Yes.
There's a lot of influencers out here spreading
Misinformation.
So like, actual knowledge on it, I can be a matter of repeating the dog.
Yeah, absolutely. 1000% true. Yeah.
So sphere of influence, the people that already know you, trust you. This is something that I actually took tons of notes when me and Shelby were talking about this. So I know you have tons of wisdom on sphere of influence.
So I just want to back up real quick. So when you get your license and you see everybody's busy, and you're like, I don't even know who to call. Like, leads aren't coming in. I'm not answering. There's no phone to answer. Where am I supposed to get a client? Am I supposed to stand outside with a sandwich board and bell and hope someone comes up to me? Like, what am I supposed to do right now? You know what I mean? So, like, that's what I was like, what am I supposed to be doing? Like, I have no one to do anything with. Like, what are we doing? So they call this sphere of influence. These are people that know you. These are people that love you. Your friends from high school. Your friend, like, not only young girls here, friends from high school that, your aunts, your uncles, like your parents' friends, people that you're comfortable with calling, right? So this is going to be way easier to make a call to your sphere of influence than to answer a Zillow line. They don't know you from Adam, or cold calling, anything like that. You guys are in a great position to be, hey, I don't know if you've heard, but I got my real estate license. I'd love to chat with you. You want to go get coffee. This fills your schedule and gets you out there talking about real estate, right? They'll see it on social media probably, they'll see your posts and all of that, but it doesn't register with them for some reason. You know, oh, you just got licensed. You just, okay, they don't know what they're talking about. You know, something like that. So I found that proving to people that I knew what I was talking about over coffee or lunch or whatever, and these are my friends. These are the easiest calls I could make, right? Hey, do you know anybody willing, you know, wanting to buy, sell, or invest in real estate? You know, I got my license, I'm on this amazing team, you know, blah, 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 blah. Like, this is a perfect time for you guys to do that. Because somebody knows somebody that knows somebody. Someone at work talked about buying a house. Cool, do you mind giving me their number or giving, you know, giving them my number for them to reach out and chat with them, anything like that. That's what I would be doing, 10, 15 calls a day if you can. Set up lunches, set up coffee, set up all of these things. That and open houses is what I would be doing if you have nothing going on. We are in a time now more than ever, and I know April's talked about it 100 times, and next week, you have to be here. Lauren is coming down. She's the open house queen. Everything to maximize an open house. So I won't go too far into how to maximize an open house because she will be here next week. And that is when that girl blows me away. And I've been in it 10 times longer than she has. And that girl is the open house queen. But in this time, especially with the NAR changes of last year and having to sign paperwork before we can even open a door, so many more people are flocking to open houses. So if you're not utilizing an open house once a weekend, you're missing the boat. You're missing the boat, especially in this time. You truly are. And I was telling her last night, there's nothing wrong with doing Thursdays from 5 to 7 when people are off of work. You don't want to do every weekend, you have stuff going on. Cool, do it Friday from 5 to 7. You know, people flock to that. And if someone is very, very serious, which is essentially what you want, right? You don't want neighbors and stuff, but if someone's really serious, they've got to make it. Like, I really want to see that house. It's open from 5 to 7. I'm making it. And those are the people that you really want to get in front of, right? So do it then. You know, I pull 4 open houses a month. I do them every weekend. You know, and I have a pretty steady what's the word, pipeline. Pretty steady pipeline at this point in my career, but I'm still out there doing it. This is what you do. You know, when you have nothing else going on, why are you not sitting in a house? You know, I know we have opportunities during the week at Jones Farm, Parsons Landing, and that type of thing. Find communities like that. Hey, can I sit out there? Get a mobile hotspot. Sit out there with your laptop. There's no difference if you're sitting in the office or sitting in an open house, except at the open house, you have potential to get a client. Why are you not doing it? You know, especially if you have nothing else going on. That would be the first thing I would be doing and calling everyone I knew. Yes, everyone I knew. These were the easiest calls I made. Having me call expireds, random people that don't know me. You know, sweating on the phone, sweating, you know, but this is an easy call. Hey, I don't know if you've heard. I got my license. I'm on this amazing team, blah, blah, blah. You know anybody? This is what you should be doing as a new agent all day and open houses all day.
And I make some of my best content at open houses. Like, if nobody shows up, I still try to create some content or something like that to put out there. So I feel like even if it's a slower open house, because in my experience, I haven't had a lot of open houses where a lot of people show up. I'm like, well, I don't want to just sit here. I'm going to find something to do that promotes my business. So I wanted to ask you, Shell, because I know we talked about this. When I first got my license, I won't say what firm I started with, but someone told me, and they drove like, because I went in their office and they were like, write down, I don't know, this many amount of people, and I want you to call them. And after I got off my first call, because it was someone I hadn't talked to in years, my feedback was, you stayed on the phone too long. You gotta say this, you gotta say this, you gotta say this, and then you gotta say, hey, I don't want to take up your time. But I'm like, I felt very not authentic, kind of rushing people off of the phone, especially if they're happy to hear from me and they're excited for me, and then I cut off the conversation. So what do you say to people that are like, you know, I struggle with these scripts because this isn't something that I would normally say. This is not how I would normally be.
You guys are all familiar with scripts. Have you had those handed to you? You know, here's how to call an expired, here's how to enter a Zillow lead, and it's like written down script of what you're supposed to say. So that was shoved down my throat too. And I always felt very like, this is Chelsea, you know, I'm like, this is terrible. I hate this. It's so not me, you know. But no one ever told me until later, why don't you just change a couple of things to make it you? Like, I didn't know that was an option. You know, like I don't say hello a lot of times. I'm always like, hey girl, hey, you know, hey y'all, like that type of thing. So I crossed off hello and then hey y'all. And I immediately felt like, this is me. Okay, this sounds more like me. This is what it is. I don't really love the way they said that. Let me switch this around to make it me. And role play I thought was so ridiculous. Like in the beginning, I was like, I'm supposed to talk to myself in the mirror. I'm supposed to sit down with her and we're supposed to ask liquefiers. And I thought it was such a waste of time. But however, when you're on the phone and you're getting asked the same questions over and over and over again by 10 different buyers, because let's be real, they ask the same questions for the most part. Having something immediate knee-jerk reaction answer that was me, that I had rehearsed, that I knew. Number one, I sounded like I knew exactly what I was talking about. You know what I mean? It felt natural to me and it boosted my confidence so much to be able to be like, yeah, nailed that. You know what I mean? Like, yes, I said exactly what I wanted to say, you know, because I had done it so many times. So if you don't feel comfortable standing with somebody else, do it in the mirror. Do it in the mirror by yourself, with the door closed, where no one's judging you know, and go over these over and over and over again, because that's going to boost your confidence. It's going to make you feel a lot better on the phone, you know, and these are people that are very successful using these scripts, right? Whether or not they are you or me or that, no, they probably aren't, but I can tweak a couple things and make them my own all day. So that's super important. And for me, it always felt like more prepared. Somebody's going to ask me a question and now I'm going to know exactly what to say to them. You know what I mean? For people that have been doing this for a very, very, very long time, you know, longer than I had ever been doing it at that time. So if scripts to you feels as cheesy as it did to me at first, you change your mindset a little bit on that and just do it. I still struggle with it. I'm not gonna lie. And I know what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? But I still struggle with standing and script training in front of a room full of people, you know, but the more you do it, the easier it is, right? And the more comfortable you feel. Just like I'm sitting down for the buyer consultation for the first time. I was sweating. I was scared. I was like, please get me through this. But now I can do it in my sleep because I've done it 100 times, you know, 200 times, whatever. 500 times probably. Before I was sick. So there it is. Not really, like, this is just going off the same thing with role play. And if you want to role play with me, I could glad to do it. I will sit there and be the hardest seller you've ever had, the hardest buyer you've ever had, and ask you all the crazy questions that I have. But that makes you feel better, right? You're like, okay, that question comes out, I never even thought of that. Now I know the answer to that. It makes you more confident. It makes you feel like when they ask, well, you've only been licensed for a year. You have something to say about that? Yeah, absolutely, but you know, because they're going to ask you, you two especially, because you're young and you're girls and you look young, which is great. Yeah. They're going to ask you. So having a response to that instead of fumbling through the answer is, how long have you been in business? Yeah. How long have you been? 6 months. Exactly. They're going to ask you that. Oh, so you really don't know, probably you haven't been through a lot, you've only been in 6 months. If you have a response back to that combats that instantly instead of fumbling around, well, yeah, but I'm great. You know, if you have a response to that, it looks better and then it kind of shuts them down. You're like, oh, okay, that's great, you know. But you two definitely need to have an answer to that because they will ask you, which I told Tyler too. I'm like, they're gonna, like when I first met him, they're gonna ask you, how old are you? Because he looks fat. You know what I mean? He looks so young, but he young, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I started in the business at 20, you know, 19. So I looked young then too, and I had that question asked to me, you know, and so having a response to that combats that is always a really good, like, that's what I would suggest to you. And if people ask me all the time, how long have you been in business? You say a year, 6 months, they're automatically going to start judging, like, oh, well, he probably doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't know those things. So if you can have some sort of response back that puts their mind at ease, you know what I mean? And you guys figure that out for yourself, type of thing.
but
And since we're on role play, if we could just kind of put you on the spot a little bit. There was a lawsuit, National Association of Realtors, and now we have to do things a lot differently. And so something I had told Shelby I struggle with is doing the buyer agency. Like, I would feel like I'm forcing myself on someone, maybe they wanted a little more time to get to know me. And so I'm just wondering, when you meet someone for the first time, what does that look like? Like, if you got a leader, if it's somebody that knows somebody that
Right.
mutual friend or something. When you first meet with them, how do you build that confidence to start? Because now we have, of course, 2 agency agreements. You have a single property or you have an exclusive buyer agency. So how do you navigate through those conversations?
well, I just want to see the house. No, I understand that. Like, absolutely, everyone just wants to go and do that. But unfortunately, last August, NAR came down with this new system, basically, that we have to do. I'm not actually allowed to open the door until we agree on some sort of relationship as far as agency is concerned. So I would love to work with loyalty and trust. And hey, let's go look at this house. You love me, I love you. We'll work together. We don't have to sign anything. Unfortunately, that's not the way it works. That's not the way the world works anymore. People will see you because they ordered hot coffee and it was hot. You know what I mean? So at this point, we can absolutely go and look at this one property. I will need you to sign a 1 day, which literally just says, if you want anything to do with this property, we're going to work together. If you don't love this property, we'll crumple this up and throw it away. You know what I mean? So let's consider this a first date. And if we love each other at the end of this, if we want to go on a second date, I'm going to need you to sign a more exclusive 6-month, 3-month, whatever we communicate that works for this situation. We're going to need to make it more exclusive. But, absolutely, let's go on a first date. If we like each other, great. And let's work together. We'll do that. But we do need some sort of paperwork in place as far as the agency is concerned.
And I found in the short little time that I've done it, that most people, the general public, have heard of this. They know something happened.
Yeah.
Something.
They don't know all the details, but they know
Yeah.
something.
So, and like I had a guy the other day, I showed him some stuff and I told him about everything. He's like, yeah, sure, no problem.
Right.
And he put-
Right. And most people are okay with a single property or a single day, because that form actually will be an all day form too. So just today, we're gonna work together. If none of these houses work, that's fine. But if you want me to go out a second time and show you more properties, we're definitely gonna have more exclusive agency at that point. Generally, people are okay with that because then they've met you, they talked to you, if they feel comfortable with you or not. If they don't, that's fine. Yeah. And that's their prerogative, and that's, okay, great. First date, and that's first and last. Great. but I feel like when you explain it to them that way, I don't know if you've heard. I would love to work on just trust and a handshake. Unfortunately, we do not live in that time anymore. You know what I mean? With the sue happy world that we live in, and people are like, absolutely, this is what needs to be in place. And so if you put it in a way that they can kind of understand, because I always felt like that too. I felt like very used car salesy. Like, get on my face with paperwork, just want to see this house.
Yeah.
The 1 day makes them feel more comfortable. Well, this allows me to show you that one house. I'm telling you, I can. Absolutely. As long as you sign this, I can show you this one house. You're not obligated to use me if you don't buy this house. Okay, great. Then people are more apt to sign that. Yeah. But where you went wrong, it's not having the second date conversation. Once we go out again, we're definitely going to need to have something in place. It protects you, it protects me. I'll explain everything to you, explain all the different agencies, but at the end of the day, you're going to want me on your side. You're going to want to do this because I'm going to go to bat for you, I'm going to fight for you, I'm going to do all the things that I'm supposed to. Why wouldn't you want me in your corner? This just solidifies it. Yeah. That's the conversation I have.
Okay.
Generally, I don't get pushback, but I will. I do sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes, what do you say to the person that's like, well, we want to see some more houses with you, but for now, we just feel comfortable doing the single property?
I still push it. I still
push it? Okay.
Yeah. I'd be like, remember the conversation we had about our first date, and I would give you 1 date, and then we have to go more exclusive. That's really where I'm at. We need to sign the buyer, we need to sign the exclusive agency. At this point, we're going out more than once, twice, 3 times, 4 times.
Yeah.
we need to have this conversation about what is stopping you from, I always put it in an airport, what's stopping you from signing this with me? Is it something I'm not doing? Is it something I'm doing? What exactly is it?
Yeah.
And then they're like, well, nothing, you're great. Okay, then why not come on me in your corner?
Right.
I don't understand. You know, explain it to me. Like, I'm really being like, trained, I want to know, how could I be a better real estate agent for you
Yes.
to where you would want to sign this exclusive agency with me for the next 6 months?
Yeah.
You know, and put it on, and then sit there and wait. Because then they're gonna be, oh, well, yeah, I mean, no, you're great. Okay, then what's the problem?
Yeah.
And they can't give you an answer. Generally, they can't give you an answer. You know what I mean? And if someone really, really pushes really hard, most likely, in my opinion, it could be wrong, but I feel like this, then they're not really serious. So why am I wasting my time?
Yeah.
Why am I wasting my time with you? I'm gonna move on to somebody that has no problem signing this and is gonna, you know, move forward. So it's hard when you're in the beginning because you're chasing everything. And I get it. You know what I mean? You don't want to let anything off the table. Like, I'm gonna sell all the things. You're driving all over the place and all of that. Now someone calls me and wants to see something in, you know, Franklinton. There you go. But in my first year of real estate, I'm in the car.
Right.
Hour and 45 minutes later, I'm in Franklinton. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I would do. But at this point, I'm like, no, I can say no to things. This is not meant for me. Let me try to get a referral and let me send it to somebody up there. If I know somebody up there, I'm gonna just go ahead and give it to them and stuff. But I understand the mentality. First couple of years in business, you're wanting any sale you can possibly get, and that's commendable. But you're not an expert in Franklinton. You know business being in Franklinton.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, we were talking about, we will have a class here about Gen X. But if you're selling in Hope Mills and don't know what Gen X is, get out of Hope Mills.
Yes.
Get out of Hope Mills. You know what I mean? Like, you should not be selling in Hope Mills. You know, because if you get an envelope from the commission and you go stand in front of them and they're like, this dude's immune compromised. You know, he's been drinking this water for 6 months. He told you that, and you have no idea there was Gen X in the well water. Like, what are you talking? I'm sorry, I didn't know. I didn't even know that was a thing. You should have known that was a thing if you're selling in that area. That's what the commission is going to say to you every single time. So if you're not an expert in certain areas, get out of them. You know what I mean? If it was reasonable for you to know that, then you should know that.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm always like, don't go where you don't know. Like, you know, some agents in Raleigh coming down and selling in this area. I'm like, you're going to do what this is? No. Don't be here. You're like opening yourself up for a lawsuit. So that's why, even like Durham, I sold there a lot of times early in my career, but know what's going on in Durham?
Right.
I don't know anything about Durham.
Yeah.
I barely even go to Durham, you know? Like, so if there's something going on there, there's a gas pipe going in, or there's, you know, 540s going in someone's backyard, and I don't know that. But agents that live in Durham, and I should reasonably know that, they're gonna know that, right? So just, if you don't know, ask, number one, you know, because that's just setting yourself up. I got off on a tangent, sorry.
But it was a good tangent. All right. So with lead generation, this is something that sometimes I would struggle with feeling not authentic. And I am a very I am who I am. It's very if I don't say it, my face says it. I'm just that person. So this is something that initially I struggled with finding, but someone told me, you find things that work for you and try things. And if it doesn't work, I think it was April, keep trying, try other things until you find the thing that works for you and that, brings you some business. So, so what do you have to say about lead gen?
I would say in the beginning of the business, when you don't have a budget for marketing and that type of thing, you're like, dude, I'm in this to make money, not spend a bunch of money I don't have type of thing. I think that this one, and this one should be your main focuses at first. This one is a slow burner, but it works if you're consistent. But that one probably you won't see as quickly as you would something like this. If you work on a team, constantly be wearing your shirt and your name tag everywhere you go. I've had so many conversations with cashiers at the Lion with my name tag on, and it costs me nothing, right? I'd say also another thing, it's not necessarily lead gen, but going and to broker opens, going to the Johnson County luncheons, going to Longleaf luncheons, that type of thing, and talking to other agents, finding broker open houses and just going in there and chatting with other agents. Like I've been in this area, I was here before, then moved to Johnson County, and then now I'm back. But just doing that and going and yapping with people all the time, like I started knowing maybe like 10 agents in this area, and now I know 100. You know, because I've been yapping with them and doing that type of thing, and it's helpful to have a community that you feel comfortable with. So I feel like that's a really good way to spend your time up front. Social media, like, well, I don't have a just closed or just pending. I don't have this, that, and the other. Go to my new construction that you went to yesterday and take videos and photos. You did, and I'm proud of you. That was a great post. Go look at this house I'm looking at. You know, look at this house I'm showing. They don't know that you're by yourself. They don't know you don't have a buyer standing with you, just out here showing new construction. You know what I mean? Blah, 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 blah. They don't know that buyer's not with you and you're walking through that thing yourself. But if you're constantly sending out content like that, people that are watching are like, she's busy. She's killing it. She's out here. She's doing that. She's doing this. They don't know. They don't know. They have no idea you're walking through by yourself. Just out here with my buyers showing this gorgeous property. No one knows. So if you're posting that type of stuff all the time, and I took a class on social media one time, and as much as I love to do just like under contract or just sold, no one cares. No one cares. The house is sold. They can't get that house anymore. Like it's sold. Good for you. Pat on the back. I don't care. But you go and show them the house that you're showing. Oh my God, I love that house. Is that still available? Like that's a great house. How much is that house? It's engaging to them, and the people that you want. I feel like the just sold and the under contracts are for other agents. Like, look what I'm doing, girlfriend, man, I sold this, found me house, you know what I mean? Like that type of thing. But if you're wanting like buyers and people on your social media to use you as a realtor, stuff that's available to them, and you know, like that type of thing, I feel like you get a lot more interactions with other people that way than the just sold. Because that's just a congratulatory thing. I can't get that house anymore. I don't care about that. That's that. So if we're trying to really use social media as a lead generation tool, that I would be more focused on that than anything else. And then you don't feel so like, oh, I don't have anything to post. I haven't closed anything. I don't have. That's not what's getting you business. That's not what's generating leads on social media. So I feel like that's a free tool for you to do. Just look busy. Resale houses, if they're vacant, then do that. But if they're occupied, don't go do that. And make those sellers get out of that house. But new construction or vacant houses, go in there and, you know, just say agent preview. And you're going in there and then what it does is when someone does call you, you've looked at everything in this area now because you've been doing this whole time. They're like, oh, I got the perfect house for you. I previewed that thing. You know what I mean? For my social media, they didn't know that you work with another buyer. I showed another buyer this house is going to be perfect for you. And now you're learning your inventory, which is really, really important. So I think that marketing shirts, names, the name tags, everyone has a name tag, put it on. If you don't have shirts made, it's fine. But wear your name tag everywhere. Yeah. Because I swear, people will start to comment, how's the market? Yeah. That's what I always get. Like, how are you feeling about the market? Yeah. What's interest rate today? Right? What's the interest rate? You know, like that's, but it starts a conversation that you didn't have to start to be awkward about. You can start yapping with them, have your cards on you at all times and hand them to them. I've gotten mad about that because I have a digital card now that I send to people, but I started carrying them in my back pocket anymore. Like, put on your earrings, I throw my business cards in my back pocket. But having that, that will always start a conversation with anybody. You never know who's looking to buy. You never know who's thought about it or wants to have a conversation. So wearing that is cheap and effective, in my opinion, and open houses for sure.
And it's good to have both, like you said, because I've had people ask for my card for me having on my beds and my name tag or whatever. But I've also had a time where I didn't have one because I just ran in the store real quick for cash, and I was able to get someone's phone number.
I was gonna say,
you know, so I don't have it, but I can text it to you. So
that's a great idea too.
Yeah.
You have the contact information.
Yeah.
So.
And then I would say something I do is educational videos. I don't really like my voice. I know a lot of people struggle with that because I've talked to a lot of people that are like, girl, me too.
Then don't watch it. It's not for you. Don't watch it.
Yeah,
post it on there. It's for other people to watch. Stop watching it.
So a lot of times I've reached out to people, like when I first started, I reached out to my colleagues or former colleagues, teachers. And I was like, what are questions you have? And I, like, when they would send me stuff, like topics they would like for a realtor to explain, I started making videos. And so making educational content, it not only shows you're knowledgeable, but it shows your value as well. Because
And
there's,
get your face in front of them.
and,
Constantly get your
and
face in front of them, yeah.
and so it's like, I feel like people should want agents that know more, not that just look cute or, you know, just open the doors for them, but someone who can educate them every step of the way. So making videos is something I continuously struggle with, but a lot of times I'll push myself to do it anyway.
I will give you a tip on social media from a squirrel like myself. If it's over like a minute and a half to 2 minutes, I'm out.
Yes. Yeah,
I'm out 30 seconds in.
yeah,
You know what I mean? So if you can give hard-hitting content 30 seconds or less, you're gonna get the most bang for your buck. Because I promise you, if it's after 30 seconds, I'm like, man, I'm done.
right,
You lost me, girlfriend. I'm out.
yeah.
So if you want to get people like me
That's
to watch the
cool.
whole thing,
That's
get to it. Get to it, give me the meat and potatoes of it. We're at 12, so if anyone has to go, but I'm good to
Yeah.
stay if you want to. So this is what I wanted to ask you guys about. This is learning contracts, how to explain them, how to figure them out, how to find stuff on them. Obviously, this is a series of things in itself. Would this be beneficial to anybody for us to do a class on? Would you want to see something like that? Like how you would explain something to people?
People need it because, you know, working with agents for what, 4 times as long as I have, that there are some agents that are not very well versed with these contracts, and you can tell when it comes to negotiating with them, when it comes to certain things they say, you're like, did you read it? You know, so I feel like it's always something that people should, because even me, I have read through them, I've made videos on them, explaining and breaking them down for my clients. But there's still certain parts of it that I had to ask you where I say, well, what the world does this mean?
Yeah.
So I feel like it's very beneficial, and probably some people who would say they don't need it
Probably need it, right?
You know.
So the first 2 were extremely intimidating to me when I first started.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm gonna be sitting down in front of somebody and they're gonna ask me what this paragraph means and I'm gonna have no idea.
Yeah.
Right? So I have my go-tos now, but what I did was I printed them off
Mhm.
and I read it paragraph by paragraph. If I had to ask somebody what the heck that meant, I would, but if I could figure it out myself, then I would write on the side how I'm gonna explain this to somebody,
Mhm.
right? And then highlight it. So if I was on the phone with them, I'm like, okay, page 1, paragraph 1. You know, this is my little blurb of what it is, you know what I mean? And if you're sitting with somebody, and that's what the role play is great for, if you'll memorize this, but if you're sitting with somebody, you don't have to sit in there if you need just like a little reminder of what it means or something, but I found that summarizing each paragraph, because you're gonna sit down with a type A person or an engineer, it's gonna wanna know everything, every sentence
Yep.
of the thing. And if you don't know every sentence or a way to at least explain it to them, it's gonna be a very awkward meeting.
Yeah.
Type of thing. So, but I've had people literally, I send it to them, I'm like, they're like, I'm trusting you that you wrote this out right and never looked at a dang thing that I wrote in there. You know what I mean? So that's again, learning audiences and stuff, but knowing these inside and out and how to explain these certain paragraphs. I hate to say dumb down, because I'll read it and I'm like, why didn't you just say 30 days from now you buy another house and I'm due my commission? Like, just write it like that. Why is it a paragraph of fluff words that no one understands what we're talking about? So to be able to just write it down that way and be able to explain it to someone that's never bought a house before, has no idea what's going on, feels like drinking water from a fire hose. That's the last thing I want them to feel like. You know, like, okay, these are 10 pages long now because we're a sweet, happy, happy type of world. Let me go over this, exactly what you need to know, the high points, and make this as easy to understand as possible. And then that's what I end up doing. So doing that and having that in your back pocket, I think is really, really important.
Yeah. And something I started doing is asking, because like you said, some clients just trust us and like you send it. So when I send them contracts, I'll say, go over it. Do you want
Call me
the
if you have any
lengthy
questions.
version or do you want the smart version? Like, which one do you want? Because I can, and so I have written my own scripts for contracts because I don't know, contracts petrify me because I feel like if you don't know them, you can screw yourself up big time. And so that's something I take very seriously. And as soon as they change them, I'm going, I typed up my scripts because, things change. And so I'm always able to just go and change it real quick on my Google Docs. But that's something I did. I made a Cook Notes version of my script and I made the lengthier ones for the engineers and for the people that want to go over every single thing. But I don't know, I just feel like.
Yeah, we will have a class on this at maybe in March. But learning those is really important. Knowing how to explain them.
Yeah.
Because you will come across people that will, like, what does this mean? And if you're like, well, let me take flip. I, as a consumer, would be like, you don't know what this means. Like, I'm not feeling warm and fuzzies about doing this with you right now. You don't know what paragraph means.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, does anybody have any input, questions, anything like that?
Any scenarios you're going through that you want to talk out? That's what we're here for. Let's see. Anything?
There's something.
There's always something, I know.
We can talk for hours. You will get caught with some buyers, just like this happened to us last night. Well, they'll just pick a random page for us on initial disclosure package.
Yeah.
And so we're scrolling through 87 pages from it the first time we really hadn't even reviewed this page. And then
Engineering.
We're putting the CD up there, then our software's up on the other end, we're trying to and then we realize we're you guys are putting two dots together that just don't exist. So, but people will get all caught up on that kind of stuff.
They do.
Yeah, there's all their deposit, it's on page 3.
Right.
Why are we down? Just kind of as a heads up.
It's really annoying that yours is 87 pages, when it probably could be 5. Yeah. But you have to be like that in this industry. And that's why it's important to educate yourself and know all of these things so you don't get sued. So you're not dealing with any of these kind of stuff afterwards. Because it can be overwhelming. You know what I mean? Like, it can be extremely overwhelming and you're like, this is I shouldn't be doing this.
Yeah.
This have me out here willy-nilly and I don't know what I'm doing. You know what I mean? Like, this shouldn't be this easy to get my license and then go and do the biggest investment of this person's life. And I have no idea what I'm doing. You know what I mean? Like, and that's how I felt leaving real estate school. I'm like, so when are we talking about, what's that, tenants in common? I'm like, when do tenants in common come into play? And like, my boss is like, never, I don't do anything. I'm like, that's what I know. I'm like, I know what that means all day. It's like, yeah, you're never gonna use that. I'm like, why do I have to learn it? Like, why do I have to learn it? You know what I mean? So it's like all these things that you're just like, throw that out the window. This is real deal, Holyfield. Like, they should just have on-the-job training. Like, you have to do it for a year under an apprenticeship or something and learn all of this instead of having to go to school for 8 weeks and learn crap you're never going to learn. So that's why this class is really important to me, especially because I didn't have this 19 years ago. I mean, I'm telling you, I got my license and they threw me in the deep end and we're like, sink or swim, homie. And I was like, okay, that's great.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I said, it took me 4 hours to write my first offer purchase. I had no idea where even to look for a lot number was. I'm like, they didn't teach me this in school. Where do you go and learn to find this stuff out? I don't know what an escrow agent is. What is that?
Yeah.
You know, but like, I could write a HUD though. I could do all the math of a HUD that I'm never going to do in my life. You know, like back then you had to do the HUD yourself. Like that was part of your real estate exam. You had to do all the math and all of the things of a HUD statement on both sides of closing disclosure, all that. We had to do all of that on our final text. They don't make you anymore, but they do now. I'm like, when do I write the HUDs?
Yeah.
And they're like, you're never going to. You're not an attorney. You're a lender. I'm like, why did I learn? You know, like, we don't still I'm still unprepared for this life, you know? And so I really wanted to like have a series of classes like this to where like stuff that I wish I knew then. You know, that's why I harp so much on not comparing yourself to others because that's what I did for so long. Like, why am I not there? Why am I not selling 30 houses a year? Like, why am I not there doing everything that I thought that I'm supposed to do? But that just wasn't my path to do. And that I don't know what sacrifices that person made to get to that point. Maybe I wasn't willing to make that sacrifice. You know, so the moment I stopped comparing myself to people, which only happened about 3 years ago, if I'm being honest, I've been in a completely different place mentally when it comes to that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You know, like, it was important for me to take a Saturday off and not have to be on my phone and spend time with my friends. But then, or spend time with my kids. But so, my colleague had sold 2 houses on that Saturday when I sat around. And normally I'd beat myself up over that, but it was more important for me to do this, and it wasn't more important for her to do that on that day. And that's okay. That's fine. That's fine. So, yeah, really understanding like how bad, like, why are you in this? You know, is it for the money? Is it for, you know, the camaraderie? Is it for adult conversations? Like, that's why I, you know, went back to work after a year spent at home with both my daughter and son. I was like, I can't take this anymore. I don't want to watch the backyard games anymore. I want to talk to an adult, you know, and I went back and did that, you know, so that was what it was about for me. It was the camaraderie and adult conversations. It wasn't really about the money and selling under houses. It was like, I just wanted to talk to somebody that's not asking me for strawberries and to turn on the TV. You know what I mean? So that's why I did it at first, and it turned into obviously something else, but figuring out why you're in this, you know, helps too with goal setting and realistic expectations and that type of thing. So that was important, and I didn't know that then.
Yeah.
And giving yourself grace and taking a day off and not beating yourself up for weeks about taking that day off.
Yeah.
You remember when you worked a 9 to 5, if you ever did, you worked and you punched out at Friday and you never thought about working again until 8 a.m. on Monday. And you were fine doing absolutely nothing Saturday and Sunday. But now in this industry, you can't take a day off.
Yeah.
You can't do nothing for one day. Give yourself some grace. Don't put yourself in a burnout category a year in.
Not all business is good business. We got-
Period. Absolutely.
It's blowing stuff, man.
Come on, man. Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Our Zillow line was off the chains on Thanksgiving. I was like, I get you guys are over your family. You're probably most of the beat right now. You're looking at houses, but I'm not there. I'm still about to. I will call you tomorrow. The house will still be there. I promise. Nor am I setting up an appointment to show a house on Thanksgiving. That's occupied. But you're gonna have somebody else to get out of? No, it's just not happening. So,
Well, next week we'll have Lauren here to talk about maximizing open houses.
I will be here with a pencil and a pen.
Yeah, for sure.
Me personally will be sitting in that chair listening to that girl talk about this. So she is something else.
That's her strength.
That is her
She
strength.
does good pot pies too.
She does great pot pies, but this is almost a little bit like that. But what she does is it's not about putting your sign in the yard the day of and hope, wishing and praying and hoping and, you know, type of things. It's
Yeah.
about marketing yourself in that neighborhood. Pick your own neighbors, the pot pies she does before open houses and stuff like that. And conversations, like these people, again, with not wanting to sign stuff, they don't even want to sign in. You know, they don't even want to give you their name.
Yeah.
You know, so having a script or having what you would say to them that makes them feel at ease, that girl is an expert at it. So that's what I say always. I'm always learning too, and she's been in it 2 years. And I learned 1,000 things from her. That's why I hang out with her all the time. Because I love listening to her talk. You know what I mean? She's always saying something that I'm like, yeah, bam, that's what I need. That is exactly what I need to change in that verbiage. You know, so like I said, I've been in it a long time, but I never ever stop listening to people talk. So
Well, yeah, well, if you guys don't mind, there's a QR code on here. If you guys don't mind, like scanning it and giving us a quick review of how we did it.
or if anything you want to see in the future, we would love ideas on classes that you are struggling with, you know, topics you're struggling with, you get us out of there. The Father, LaShonda, get us